Was an important part of Charlie's appeal. In those days, the enlightened culture was using drugs. You honestly believed that smoking marijuana, taking LSD, would open up your consciousness.
I was smoking a lot of hash, and I had, at that time, I've already used it a couple times. At that time, drinking and using drugs were not an unusual coincidence in the house.
Charlie would use LSD for the special ceremonies on a daily basis that he would preach to people towards the end of the day.
Well, we took hundreds of trips together.
He would personally put the dosages in his followers' mouths. But when he took some himself, he was careful to take less so he'd stay in control. Sometimes he
Welcome back to our coverage of this PGA Tour event, already in progress.
Would take up positions.
We're picking up action on the second. Let's get
Sometimes
going.
we would reenact the crucifixion when we were on LSD. And it was very realistic. And then make the connections of man, son, son of man, you know. And then the questions would begin. Would you die for me?
And in their drug-induced situation, they listened. So he used LSD as a form of mind control.
There was at times basically group sex. It was always very funny because it was a means of control. And you'd have different men who was trying
And here we are with the third shot.
initiate into the family, try to bring them in. He would offer them whatever women he had.
Isn't that what women's for? Women receive men.
Well, that's comfortably on the dance floor.
Man has dominion over woman. It's been that way
A
since
wonderful shot. The chance
since
for
the
birdie
beginning
here in
came
the
out
second.
of chain.
Of all the shots that I like the most, that one ranks right up
He
there.
couldn't resist.
This putt coming up is for birdie.
Manson deliberately sent out the women in the film to go around and troll for famous musicians.
Currently one
They
under
were
for the
the
day.
That's how Charlie meant to use it.
He thinks he's going to be a singer-songwriter.
His hole is a par 3.
Or like Neil Young. And then what he finds is something very different. It's something that fuels his anger towards society.
Thanks. Come on.
Yeah, that one's on the dance floor. You can two-putt that for sure.
Made birdie on the last, looking for a second in a row here.
Get excited.
Get in there.
And with that putt hole, it's back-to-back birdies.
Back-to-back birdies, moving the right direction there, Luke.
He finds himself tied for 6th. And maybe feeling buoyed with confidence after that birdie. Gives a good chance to maintain the momentum.
If you wanted to
Where's
be
my
a
wig?
rock star, you had to come
Fucking
down.
hell.
Manson's goal in life, his obsession, was to become a bigger rock
This is
star
ridiculous.
than
This.
he was.
That's why he comes to Los Angeles. At this particular moment in the entertainment community, you had an open door policy. Musicians, their addresses were really well known around those times. People would come down from their bedrooms and there'd be 3 or 4 people waiting to get a recording booth. And you were supposed to call.
Here's some action from just a short time ago.
The choir
Matt Kuchar with a
featured among all
fantastic
the
shot.
rock stars who lived in LA.
So Manson would send some of the women out to places where famous musicians live to try and make some
He's a
sort of
sharpshooter from short range, isn't he?
And one day, 2 of the women in the family, Patricia Cline and Irene Caldwell,
Nicely done from close range.
up beside them. And it's Dennis Wilson, the drummer of the Beach Boys.
Let's get back to it, shall we? From about 130 yards here, just a couple back from our leader.
Dennis Wilson was the sexy beach boy. There was no doubt about it. Couldn't play drums that well, but my gosh, he looked like a rock star.
He picks up 2 girls, 2 Manson family
Opting for the
members.
9-9.
He takes them back to his house, and he
Ooh,
goes
back
off
there,
to the
Wilson.
recording studio to work. He gets back late that night, and Manson has moved into his mansion, along with several other family members.
That's well played. Anything on the green from there was fine.
He's already made a few birdies today, and this is another good look.
And
stayed for a while.
Spot in the all-important top 5 coming up if you can hold this.
One of the Manson girls talks about being at Dennis Wilson's house, walking around with the family members around Dennis Wilson's pool on a beautiful Southern California.
Not a great line.
Oh,
Yeah, nice mid-range birdie putt that one.
Gotta say, putting this well from this distance is a huge confidence booster.
Trailing by a stroke after that hole.
Dennis really liked women. Dennis appears to have liked women.
Teeing off here at the fin.
You know, initially for Dennis Wilson, it was great. It was girls, drugs, and Manson could supply both.
We were invited by Dennis to come to dinner to meet Charlie and the family. There we were in a group sex kind of situation,
Seems to
and
be a
it
family
wasn't my
secret
cup
to
of
me.
tea, so I excused myself to take a shower. No sooner than I got in the shower, the door opened, and Charlie Manson stood there. He looked up at me and said, "You can't do that." I said, "Excuse me?" "You can't leave the group." And he looked at me with these wide eyes and kind of maniacal look. "One of your group members is involved with something so weird." It was kind of frightening and freaky to me.
Dennis Wilson loved having a Manson family.
That's a good-looking shot there.
He thought Manson was a great intellect. He nicknamed him the Wizard.
He was
Coming off a hat-trick of birdies. That's great momentum.
Because Charlie could talk such metaphysical mush, Dale Carnegie, the Bible, and home in on Dennis's
This is all
insecurities
over
about
it
his
like a
own.
tropical disease.
Dennis was intimidated by the other
Wow,
Beach Boys.
what a shot.
He's loaming on total hole.
That's their 4th win of
Charlie
the day.
builds him
And
up.
with that,
Your
they'll move to
grade,
4
your
under
music
par.
is exception. And little
Well, that's certainly a step in the right direction.
Once
Keep
Charlie
it
got
going.
his hooks into it, he didn't let go. He was the perfect target.
Always positive coming off a birdie. Let's see what happens here.
Standing on his par 4 and leading. What's the strategy? What's going on through their mind? Attack it or lay back?
Over $100,000.
And living with Dennis Wilson had other benefits because Manson
well
got to
struck.
meet other people in
This
the music
line is
business.
heading for a
rock
fairway in
stars.
my eyes.
Oddly enough, the one he seemed to impress most was Neil Young.
I knew Charlie Manson. Leon
Second shot here on the 6th.
BBC documentary.
He wasn't what you call a songwriter. He was like a song.
Go with the pitching
It
wedge
is
here.
astonishing to think that Neil Young took an interest in music with Charles Manson.
That's good. This was a little out of control.
Now this is some ball striking.
For a few
Big
months,
greens and
Dennis
regulation,
Wilson
it's a
thought
big
Charlie
view.
Manson was a music genius.
I tell you, you just dream about days like today. Greens and regulations, spot on all day. Awesome.
Just come and say you love me.
Go to the 7.
Dennis Wilson brought that song
This one should find the
Piece of
surface.
This
Good
to
shot
the
this.
Beach Boys, only he renamed it, gave it some new lyrics.
Oh,
It
that
was
one
called
just missed the
Never Learned
hole.
to Love. I mean,
That's inside the line.
Unlucky.
What a shot.
Oh, you love to see those shots land. What a play.
I wasn't told about
Big feet to the
origins
cup.
of the song. As far as I knew, Dennis had written.
Never learned not to love the Beach Boys.
I remembered Mike Douglas, and I remember doing a show.
The squeaky clean Beach Boys are singing a
There's half
song
a chance of being hold this one.
one.
Mark it down. That's birdie number 5. And that will take him to 5 under. The leader now has a 1-stroke advantage.
The lead is getting bigger and bigger.
Dennis Wilson.
Manson was
Pretty sure this
furious
player will be
when he
buoyed by
found
that
out
birdie
that
back
Dennis
at the
Wilson
last.
not only
Let's see if they
changed
can
the
deliver another
lyrics,
one.
but had listed himself as the sole composer. When Manson goes looking for Wilson afterwards, and at one point leaves a bullet and tells Wilson that I know where you live, I know where your children are, you know what this means.
I gave Dennis Wilson a bullet, didn't I?
Well, this should
I
find
gave
the
him a
short
bullet because
grass.
he changed the words to my song.
Dennis Wilson was so terrified ultimately of Charlie Manson that he ran from
They know how to
him.
golf your
Anybody
ball.
else
Serious
naturally
momentum.
physically
5
attacked
straight
him.
birdies.
But he has to live with it. He has to swallow it. Only because Manson still needed Wilson's best friend, Terry Melcher.
Terry Melcher was the son of Doris Day, the famous movie star and singer. He was living in Seattle
Behind
with
here.
David King.
Well,
Terry
you don't
Melcher
think
is
of your
a
second shot
genius
already.
at recognizing how to get marketable hit
Well,
music.
a little off the target with that one.
And coming up well short.
Produce the Bird's version of Mr.
There's
Tambourine.
been action all over the course today. How about this highlight at the 8th hole?
You have over
Matt
80
Kuchar with a
hit
fantastic
singles
shot.
within a few years.
A significant force who could, on his say-so, have signed Charles Manson to a record.
So this makes
They're the kind of shots that you remember after a day's work on the
He
links.
is going to make Terry Melcher.
Okay, let's get back to the action.
Terry Melcher will.
This would be a
win.
great up and down. Go ahead and make it.
Manson never ever considered the fact that maybe he wasn't going to be good enough. Manson pursues Terry Melcher for months.
Unlike people like Dennis Wilson,
He has this
Tom
punt
Melcher
to
was
save
a
his
child
mother.
of Hollywood.
He learns from childhood how to keep people at arm's length. You don't let everybody in. Manson once, riding around with Melcher and Wilson, they actually drive up Sierra Drive to Melcher.
It's got a chance.
But Melcher does
Now,
not,
nice to make a mid-range par putt.
and that frustrates Manson.
Terry Melcher, on the other hand,
Now, leading by one shot.
finding out about Manson's music.
He finally gets Melcher to listen to his music.
He records Manson at the Spawn Ranch, and Melcher.
Here we have a long par 4. It's going to take 2 great shots to get on.
Car arrived and met a bunch of people. They all sat down and they played a dozen songs. It was a big campfire. And it was quite an interesting thing.
Manson tells the family that Melcher was
This one's looking good off the tee. That should find the short stuff.
At second thoughts, didn't think Manson was talented enough.
He tells Manson, your music is good, but I wouldn't know what to
Taking
do.
aim from around
And
240
at
yards
that
out here.
moment, Charlie Manson's life turns completely.
Manson was furious.
Because he did wrong. He lied. When you make a contract, what does a contract mean to
Opted
you?
in for the 5 wood.
When you make a contract, you keep your word or you lose your life.
The dream of being a rock star is not going back. For
Setting up
Manson,
miles
the
from
house
home.
on Cielo Drive comes to represent all he wants to achieve and hasn't been able to.
That is where he will exact his revenge.
Big chance here.
By early 69,
Oh!
big record guy in Los Angeles, who's humiliated
That wasn't your
Charles
best
Manson
effort,
by
was it?
not signing him to a record deal,
He's got a
moves out of
par
his
putt
house
here.
in
Let's see if he can make it.
And moving in instead is this glamorous young starlet in her
I like the look of
house.
this.
And
That's well held.
place in his murderous heart. Charles Manson now has
And maintaining top spot on the leaderboard. After that,
Nobody took my breath away like Sharon Tate.
She's gorgeous. Wow, yeah.
we've reached the 9th hole. Time to tee.
This is Hollywood. Beauty needs no resume.
Hello. I'm Mr. Red.
Here's the thing about being a Mr. Ed. You're on a show with a
Things are
popular
hot, I think.
voice, and you are the girl.
Down,
Well, you know, that's how everybody broke in.
down, down.
Sharon Tate is in these shows because she is highly decorated. That doesn't mean that was all she was doing.
He separate from Tony Finau just a short time ago.
I'm sure and I didn't know who she was at all. But she was signed to Fillmore's, which is the same thing.
This is how you do it. 7 days a week.
The idea was to get Sharon used to being on a set with a camera.
And it drops into the bucket. What a shot.
Most people didn't even know it was her.
They wanted her not to look like what she was. And that strikes us as being counterintuitive.
Let's return
But
to
the
live
idea
play now.
then was that a movie actor was something
This is the
special,
second shot here on the
something that
9th hole.
would never be caught dead on television. Every time she met the press, she would be very honest and say, I'm just getting started.
Being in front of the camera and going to classes are two different worlds entirely.
She was not a huge success.
That's frustrating.
She was an up-and-coming starlet.
I don't like that word starlet at all because there's no such
Oh,
thing.
this is one of those lengthy putts.
I feel it before
John, how do you see
even
it?
make an appearance.
This one's around
It's very
29
necessary
feet,
to learn
guys.
your craft.
At the MGM studios in London, Sharon Tate is reporting for her first motion picture, Eye of the Devil.
All eyes on Sharon
Get in!
Tate is essentially impressive. It's carefully
Oh!
Yes, good card. I'd like to have one more look at that.
You!
That whole instruction and all these things that make her look like a hardworking actress. But you look at that 10 minutes, footage you can't forget is her answer. Because she is magic.
Her name is Sharon Tate. She's today's kind of girl. Bursting with youth, beauty,
Here we go, Rich. The back nine on Sunday. What are your thoughts so far?
I gotta say, every facet of this player's game was in great shape today. Lots of golf yet to be played. Looking forward to watching it.
It's time to begin this powerful hole.
We're on the set of the picture, The Vampire Killers, being made at the MGM studios outside of London. And the whole idea
Look at the line here. We should find a fairway.
Roman Polanski.
Roman Polanski was and is a great filmmaker. They didn't hit it off at first. They seemed
Let's
to
take a
hit
look
it
at
off
this
quite
shot
well.
from moments
By the
ago.
time the movie is
Matt
over,
Kuchar with a fantastic shot.
This is his third.
if you were just an average moviegoer in the 1960s, the first time you heard her name was with Diana Ross.
That's an absolute peach. Well played.
And I know all I have is a body, and I
Let's get back to it, shall we?
Valley
This
of the
shot
Dolls, the
from
novel
around
by Jeffrey
210
Suzanne,
yards.
is one of the biggest selling novels of all time. It is like the ultimate beach read
Going with
of
the
that
hybrid.
era. The movie, well,
Down.
Young lady with your
Well, that's well played. It sets up a good birdie look here at the 10th.
Absolutely. In there close. Good look at birdie coming up.
She had a quietness. She had a real yearning to have a baby. I'm pregnant, which was the core of the part that she was playing.
Valley of the Dolls,
Right by the hole.
It's coming out.
Sharon Tate, star of the film Valley of the Dolls.
There's part of about 6 feet coming up.
So when she gets married, and they call it the wedding of the doll, that's a reference to the fact that she became famous for being in this movie.
I was her California hairdresser.
It's got a chance.
I helped her shop.
Well done.
The amateur party playboy club was probably
And after that performance, they'll stay right where they are in the standings.
My name is Michael Caine and Candace Berger. Young Collins with Anthony Newley. Sharon Tate's co-star.
Teeing off here at the 11.
Taking time off from facing the face.
After that, she goes on to be in a Matt Helm movie.
Oh, I'm sorry, did I hurt you?
Of course it hurt me.
My father was doing the Wrecking Crew.
Yeah, this is a quality looking shot, this one. That should find the short stuff.
To watch him, when we go down to the studio to watch him do it. He thought Sharon Tate was
Playing
just,
from around 230
smart,
yards.
and he looked forward to maybe recreating her role again in the next movie.
Things were going to be good. Sharon Tate has married one of the top young filmmakers in Hollywood at that time, Roman Polanski, who has a huge success with Rosemary's Baby. She and Polanski are going to have a baby.
So many plans for the future. We were hoping for a boy, and I say we because I come from a long line.
That's just inside the range. A chance to move to 6 under the card in this part.
Short game has been especially sharp today. Looked very impressive.
It seems like a place where only love and happiness can be found. And that's what the end of 1968 looks like.
Looking really good, this one. A bit low on that one. Oh, I don't mind this part. Ooh, that looks like a pure strike.
In the Hollywood Hills, the CLO
He
has
sits
a number
in
of
first position.
and residents over the years.
We have a par 5 on this one.
And it was a French farmhouse. The grounds were beautiful. It was serene. The views were amazing because it was off of Benedict Canyon.
You'll never find another view like it. I don't care where you go in the city. It was from all the way downtown to the beach to Catalina.
It was the most safe and secure and secluded and peaceful environment she could possibly think of to start her family.
They came out and I met Sharon, and just, it was magical. She was a lovely baby.
For Sharon, you know, for so many years, everything.
Time for the second shot at the
The
12.
moment she found out she was pregnant, her acting career just didn't matter to her at all. Everything that mattered was for the baby.
As we approach August 1968, 1969, Polanski
This one
was in
might roll
London
into the rough.
prepping a movie that Mike Nichols would go on to direct called The Day of the Dolphin.
Sharon Tate and her friends were at the house she had rented.
She was massively pregnant.
She was about to
Why don't we
deliver her
recap what
baby.
Patrick Catley
And
did
her
just
husband
moments
was out
ago?
of the country, so they had come to keep her company and make sure she
Third
was
shot
okay.
now.
She was there with her friends Abigail Folger and Wojtek Krakowski and
Oh, that's a beauty. How about holding that one?
friend, Jay Seabrick.
When Bill Coogan, when they're 35 years old, she was a sharp, charismatic person.
Okay, let's get back to the action.
Jay Seabrick, please.
Sitting at 5 under for the day.
He was
Currently in the
the
lead.
creator of men's hair design.
He wasn't a barber. He was styling men's hair.
Single-handedly defined the iconic
Oh, look at this.
look
Right down the
of nearly
throat.
every male.
This
Oh.
one's dialed in. What a shot.
Work without him.
Always nice when you can just go ahead and tap one in for birdie.
Stephen Green, Paul Newman, Warren
Look at him just surging ahead at the top of the leaderboard. And that will take him to 6 under.
They've been one per week. I'll make it
Our leader is a couple of shots up at this stage.
This is like an evolution from a barber.
Let's see what happens here at the 13th.
The guy with the little pole in front, all of a sudden it was like on the cover of Time. Sharon came back into my salon and brought a new client she wanted me to do. And her name was Abigail Folger. Folger coffee? Yeah.
The last name, of course, is familiar because she was an heir to the Folger
Is this one
coffee
the key
fortune.
right?
Hey, this coffee tastes terrific.
Folger.
But she herself was working as a social worker.
Abigail was the number one
Well, that'll work. Up on the dance floor. Could have been worse.
Birdie the last. This for another.
Open and generous in conversation and
John, talk to us. What do you got for us?
Wojtek.
Kucher on.
Krakowski was a childhood friend of Roman Polanski. They go out at one point.
Oh, that's great. Just missed the hole.
Pretty good shot there.
Stay at the house, they go out to dinner at Coyote, which is a place everyone is.
Let's return to live play now.
You know that they are back
Lining
in
up the
the
birdie
house
putt here.
by 10 o'clock because Abigail Folger's mother calls and talks to Abigail at that time. It's simply going to be a quiet, comfortable night. And of course it turned out not to.
This one's
Because
looking
that's when
good.
Charles Manson has the
And
stats
mark it
on
down. That's
it.
birdie number 7 on the scorecard.
I like it. 2 in a row. He's feeling it.
And this is quality play. Still on top of the leaderboard.
Figure as the events of August in 1969. Watson was
Arrived
there
at a par 4. Step up to the tee and
murders of
This
national
hole is so
without
important at
Watson
this critical
needing
time. Go for it, lay it back. How much do you trust your swing?
Taking someone into something very bad, but by baby steps. Never
Looks like
allowing
this one's
them
hitting
to
safely
see
for the
where
fairway.
it was that he was really taking them in the end, which was murder.
There is a late night visitor.
Sitting at
He
minus
is the
7.
most unlucky
Currently
man
in
the
top
city of
spot.
Los Angeles. He is a young boy who is selling a clock radio. And his are the first headlines that come up that
So
night.
might need to sit.
And it's when he leaves that the nightmare begins.
Like, well done.
His death is set
15
off
feet to the cup.
murder in the history of Los Angeles.
I'm a convict. I'm an outlaw. I'm not a Sunday school teacher.
Tracking.
Oh,
Just missed.
young actor Sharon Tate.
And that should secure the par. Well done.
And for other people, this unentitled
Some place where there are famous rich people.
Leading by a couple after that hole.
Not only will get a lot of attention, but might actually bring some kind of
The honor is yours.
satisfaction to
Time to
Charlie.
hit a good one here at the 15.
So how could Charles Manson be guilty of murder if he wasn't at the crime scene? When their hand was stabbing somebody, it was Manson.
That's heading for the fairway.
He would tell a story on national TV to Diane Sawyer, and the world would hear Manson.
There's been some great action out on the course. Let's take a look at this highlight from another person's play. Tony Finau with a fantastic shot.
And take a look at his fourth now.
Manson is a classic.
And into the hole it goes.
Personality that became an object of worship to his followers.
He draws these people to him, and he tells them their views.
Time for the second shot. at the 50.
Manson used drugs, so he could suggest things to people in states of altered consciousness.
After I started taking acid with him, I believed that he had some kind of ultimate source of power. I believed that Charlie could blow life into dead birds, that he could control the weather. He knew
Luke, bullets did not end up where you said it was going to. It's in the rough.
He asked us constantly, each one of us, will you die for me? Will you be my finger on a hand? Will you be me? He began to feel very paranoid, a rage and a hatred for society.
It's all of that that goes together.
Was that a good
It's just
line?
taking someone to the door.
Well, this would be a good one, mate. It's for par. Okay, let's head to the next. Currently at 7 under for the day.
Susan Atkins, Patricia Krenwinkel, and
Just a few holes to play. Let's see how you handle the 16th hole.
And he said, get up. I want you to go somewhere. And so I did. And he said, do everything the text says.
Opting for the hybrid, I think.
Manson's instructions to text Watson are these. You know where the house is, unseal it. Go kill everybody there. Manson associated that house.
Stop! Yeah, not a bad shot, that one.
Record producer had
Never seen a scorecard that doesn't look good with a 2 on it.
Has already moved. But to Manson's mind, this house on top of this beautiful hill represented rich, famous people.
I told him to go do what Chick said. I never told anybody to do anything.
Get in! Oh! And that putt will drop, and he'll extend his lead, and that will take him to 8 under.
Susan Atkins was a genuinely
Why not take another look at that effort?
She was Manson's watchdog, the one that everybody knew was crazy enough to do anything.
Linda Kasabian was the getaway driver. The only reason that she was
Oh.
because she had a Baja California.
Beautiful. Now current leader is up by 3 shots.
They drove up to the front gate.
Tex climbs over the fence, cuts the wire.
Lovely momentum for this player after that birdie in the last hole. Keep it rolling.
The young man, Stephen Parent, had been visiting the caretaker as a friend.
Watson had a protected revolver made for famous U.S. Marshal Wyatt Earp. So he went up to him, and Stephen Parent said, please don't kill me, please don't kill me. I'm on my way out, I won't tell anybody, just let me live. And Watson shot him 4 times at point blank range.
And that begins the Sabbath.
That was wonderfully
We
done.
talked about that night in the interview.
There's been action aplenty all over the course. How about this shot at the last? This is a superb shot from Patrick Cantlay. Oh, that's a cracking good shot, as they say over there in UK.
Sharon Tate is these friends who are staying. She's in the early stages of pregnancy. When the 4 killers break into the
Let's
house,
get back to it, shall
they
we?
cut through a screen window and sneak in that way. They find Wojtek Frykowski sleeping on a couch in the living room. Back in the bedrooms, Abigail Folger reading a book in bed. J.C.
Good off
Ring
line,
and
that one.
Sharon Tate in her bedroom.
Now
sitting
into
on
the
the
lap
bed.
of the golf.
Tex Watson walked in and he said, I am the devil, and I'm here to do the devil's work.
Then Tex says, we're going to kill you.
Setting up from the first cut here in the green. They can hold it for
really
you.
frightened and scared from the moment that Jackson said to Ernest,
Oh, that was an absolute beauty, particularly out of that line.
this is pure madness.
Good opportunity here, just 6 feet to the hole.
Started taking place between Tex and J.C. Breen. J.C. Breen was very protective of Sharon and said, no.
Good stroke.
She said, you could help her explain it. She
Well,
said,
that's a momentum maintainer. Well
and
done.
Watson then stabbed him, shot him,
And after that hole, they're currently leading JT by 3.
broke loose. When there was an attempt to tie everyone up, eventually Abigail Folger
Teeing off here at the lucky last, the 18.
She took on Abigail Folger, Wojtek Frykowski, out in the lawn.
I left and followed her. I ran after her with an upraised knife, and we went out through the back door, and I ran her down, and I began to stab her.
Lovely effort, man.
When I looked around, I knew this was wrong.
part of this horrendous dance. And it was like, no matter what or anywhere I turned, it wasn't going to stop.
Abigail Folger ended up getting stabbed 28 times. Lawson jumped on for
Not bad.
line.
Getting ready to play there,
and hit him over the head with the gun butt. Frykowski ended up getting stabbed 51 times.
Looks like they're going with the
Susan
pitching
Atkins
range.
stabbed Sharon Tate to death.
This one is chewing fiber.
She talked to the media about killing Sharon Tate.
That's an absolute ripper. What a shot. Be nice to see this one go down. Let's see if they make it. Looks good off the play.
Susan Atkins was given birth to
Round now in the books.
and
Good luck.
next to Katie when he said
And I love it. Lovely start to the opening round. In top spot with just a whole bunch of people right over their shoulder.
And this player cannot afford to not make birdies tomorrow. They're going to have to continue the good play in order to keep the chasing pack at bay.
Is written on the door.
Well, that just about concludes our coverage. I'm Luke Hilby, and on behalf of Rick B, plus all the hard-working folks at HB Studios, it's good night for now.
And writes pig on the door.
I say, if you're gonna do something, leave something with you. Just like I would tell you, if you're gonna do something, do it well. And leave something with you. Leave a sign and let the world know that you have a good day.
When I got back to the ranch,
And they were focused on planning. And the fact that he had just done the movie Rosemary's Baby, which involved Satanism, and a woman was pregnant. It was just eerie.
Hello and welcome to our 2K Sports PGA Tour action. We're at the Evergreen Classic. Today's coverage is about to start. Delighted to have your company for this final round action. I'm Luke Elvey, here alongside Rich Mayman. It's the final round here, Rich. What's that next player up against as they begin it?
Look, it's a small league, let's face it, but it's a league, and that's where you want to be. You want to be out front. And so this player has been playing well all week long, but it's saying that they just don't want to make any mistakes. It's going to be a difficult day all around.
Let's get down to the action.
All of you know how beautiful she was. But only few of you know how
And
good
let's see what I can do here today.
The city of Los Angeles has had another multiple murder. Last night, a middle-aged couple was stabbed to death in a case that has striking similarities to the mass murder tragedy back with Sharon Tate and 4 friends.
And I shouted across the newsroom, it's happened again.
Targets of the unknown assassins this time were wholesale
Right,
grocer
that's
Nino
strike.
LaBianca
Looks like
and
it's
his
heading
wife
well towards the
Rosemary.
red.
Rosemary and Bianca died. Because
Wonderful
Manson
shot. And a
was
chance for
not
birdie
treated
here on the
as
first.
Though
Just
he
10
never
feet
met
to the
the
cup here.
Biancas, Manson and some of the family members attended parties at the house next door.
It was next door to Harold True. Harold True was my old road dog. It was a party cat.
It's
The
tracking.
last stop they made on
Oh, what a way to build momentum early.
Always a good feeling to have early in the round.
And after that hole, leading Justin Thomas by 3 strokes.
Making birdie in the first always puts you in a good frame of mood. It'll be fun to watch the round progress.
Welcome to the tee at this par 5 hole. Go get after it.
So Manson orchestrates the murder of the LaBiancas. He's the one who initially goes into the house, cases the joint, comes back out, gets Tex Watson. They go back and get a couple of the women, Leslie Van Houten, Patricia Krenwinkel.
I remember people with that.
And this effort by Justin Thomas.
Charles Manson told me, no, Rosemary LaBianca, not to worry, that it was just a robbery and he wasn't hurt.
They found the bunker, but a chance to
I
have a safe.
took Mrs. LaBianca into the bedroom. And
Ooh.
the signs of
Oh,
Mr.
stop it.
LaBianca died.
What a way to makes it par.
Oh, trying to hit a little putt shot, and they do to perfection. What a shot indeed.
Lining up from about 230 yards here.
And Tex came in and
The interesting choice of the driver here.
killed her. And then Tex turned around and handed me the knife, and he said, do something. Because Manson had told him to make sure that all of us got our hands.
Well, that's showcasing their power there, Rich.
Always like the aggressive play, going for it in two and get rewarded for it.
It would be nice to make this putt. This is for real.
16 times.
Following Charlie's order, words are written in blood, including helter skelter, on the refrigerator. The murderers stop for a snack. They take from the refrigerator chocolate milk and watermelon.
They were just savage crimes, savage murders.
Another bizarre murder in Los Angeles.
What would be the purpose? There
Wow.
wasn't an immediate
That's misjudged.
answer to who had done this terrible
Well,
crime.
that's an early statement right there.
That settles the nerves right there. Great stuff.
Currently in first position.
Oh, and they increase their lead. This is impressive, Luke, but can they hold up this play?
Crimes that are similar.
Let's see what happens here at the third hole.
They have 7 people who are dead. They have no solid suspects.
The police at that time really were in a quandary, and they came under a lot of heat from the LA papers in 1969 for not getting anywhere with this case. They had
A good swing. This one's heading up onto the green for sure.
Incomprehensible words scrawled in blood on the walls of these crimes.
Well, we're hearing some excitement elsewhere on the course.
A lot of
And this
fear
effort by
and
Kevin
pain.
Kisner was just a little while ago.
Nowhere was safe anymore. Nowhere. Not laying in your bed at night. Nothing.
I gotta say, his short game is one of the best in the game.
Sporting goods stores were sold out of guns.
Oh, that's the shot. Go ahead and make one. Don't worry about getting up and down.
Steve McQueen supposedly drove around with a gun.
Okay, let's get back to the action.
And all
12
that
feet to the
was
cup
because
coming up.
For 3 months, no one knew who did it.
Have you come up with any rational motive for the killings?
No, everything at this point is purely.
Hey, nice looking line.
They found some.
A well holed. You'll take the birdie.
That sets a positive tone for the player, doesn't it?
They start investigating.
Sitting at 12 under par for the event.
Drugs, who their sources might have been. Could this have been a drug deal gone bad?
And coming off the booty, proud of themselves, a chance to keep it rolling.
Could it have been a gambling murder? Could it have been a mob murder of some sort? So weeks were spent pursuing that.
Sergeant Cook, can you tell us now how many men the Los Angeles Police Department has working on both of these cases?
Yes, we have 17 sergeants and 2 lieutenants. Prime responsibility now is the investigation of both homicides.
Are they working together?
No, actually.
Second shot here on the fourth.
For a long time, these two crimes are not connected, even though we looked at the circumstances now, we go, wow, they seem very similar.
There was one group of detectives investigating the LaBianca killings, one group investigating the Tate killings.
The detective squads that were following these were in the same building together on the same floor, but they never
This one's
worked
looking
together
good.
to try to link them up.
Nice one. Fourth birdie of the day.
Gotta say, putting this well from this distance is a huge confidence booster.
As I said,
Managing to maintain their position on the leaderboard.
part of it was
Here we have a par 5. Is it time to get after it?
6 minutes and 20 seconds of moderate riding up Benedict Canyon led us to this spot. And looking over the edge of this hill, we found several pairs of blue jeans
Pass on
and
that
what
one.
appeared to be some very dark sweatshirts.
And then a TV crew who was out in the area found the discarded clothes of the killers in the village. The police didn't
Second
find
shot
them.
here on the
Even
fifth.
TV crew found them.
What we did, we came here and actually stood right here in this spot and said, okay, if we had just killed these people, we are covered with blood. Where would we go and where would we throw the clothes?
Leaving from Cielo Drive, driving up Benedict Canyon, we timed ourselves and tried to place ourselves.
Too hard. Too hard. Way too hard.
At the Tate House. This is where we found it. It's right down there.
When the LAPD arrived on the scene, detectives were not happy when the media figured it out before they did.
Oh, sick. My boss, Lieutenant Robert Helder, who received a phone call from...
And here we are with the third shot.
They came up and found the clothing, which we introduced at the trial.
It's a 10-year-old boy who winds up with the gun that was used inside the house.
One of the Manson family members had tossed this gun out a window, and a young kid had found it in his yard.
A little stupid
That's
boy.
disappointing.
And he was outside.
Just
playing
9 feet remaining to the
and
hole.
found this gun. And he went to his father with it, and he had seen enough TV that he knew not to touch the gun.
And so, control officer
Oh, back there, horsey.
picked up the gun in his hands and then took it and booked it into evidence. And
Mid-range putt this one, a 16-footer.
They said to him, well, when the police arrived and saw the gun, how did they handle it? And he said, they put their hands all over it. He was very annoyed.
And then it takes forever for the LAPD to realize
Oh,
that it is
get in the
gun
hole.
that's used.
That's a good putt for par. He'll take it. Still in the lead now after that hole. Here we are at the 6th hole.
Do you attack it and try and increase your lead, or do you lay back and play safe? I like to attack it. What do they like to do?
Manson was one of the murderers there, and unfortunately Malibu is in the LA Sheriff's jurisdiction.
The day after the Tate murder, the investigators of the Hinman murder come to Los Angeles, and they're trying to talk to the officers
that's a high
involved
caliber
in the
shot.
Tate investigation to say, I think maybe there's a link here. They never get the opportunity to do that. They're told, no, we're pretty
Kid!
sure.
Oh, fuck!
And they're sent
Like
away.
that, didn't you?
But then, after all this fumbling around by the Los Angeles Police Department, they get this amazing break.
Today, warrants have been issued for the arrest of 3 individuals in connection with the murders of Sharon Tate.
You're about to see what evil looks like in the face of Charles Manson.
Oh, God, that's so close.
That's just the beginning.
Putting for birdie. And he just keeps putting a gap on the rest of the field. What a putt to hold. Leading by 6 strokes after that one.
When I stand on the mountain and I say, do it.
Let's see what happens here on the 7th.
And I'll do it. And that's the last thing in the world you want me to do.
Following the murders, there seems to be a state of high alert and anxiety at the Spahn Ranch.
Only a few days after the murders, in fact, here come all these helicopters, here come all these law enforcement officials.
Only it's not there for the reason we would all assume it's there. They are there to arrest Manson and some of his associates.
They were stealing cars from the neighborhood, some of which they were transforming into dune buggies.
The arresting officers can't understand when they tell Manson that this is a
Too hard.
Oh,
Oh, Jesus Christ!
You don't see that very often. Superb shot.
Bloody hell!
Good shot there. Right beside the range.
Where
This one for back-to-back birdies.
have happened, committed by the people.
Look at this!
And Manson is arrested
What shot?
for a totally different reason. And it's the same kind of trouble that Manson has even written songs about. Bang, bang, bang. He's a big iron door.
Oh.
They put me in a cell.
Just 3 feet to the cup.
The next day in the paper, they've got a story about the raid, and they've got a story about the murders. Never realized
Some momentum being built now. That's back-to-back birdies.
They have no idea.
I like it. 2 in a row.
Papers authorizing the raid.
Our current leader is up by a whopping 7 shots now.
They have to throw the whole thing out.
And they let him go.
We've reached the 8th hole. The tee is yours.
He reached on the car theft charges. He wants to get his family as far from the police as he possibly can. Charlie Manson gets all these people in a caravan of cars out to Death Valley.
He thought that by killing the people, Taylor Brown, killing 2 people that blew up the alcohol,
Looks like they put a good
that
swing
this
on
would
that one.
somehow create
That should
this
find the
race
short
war
stuff.
he had predicted. Helter Skelter, the African Americans fighting against the white people and winning.
Manson thought there was going to be an apocalypse. And he
Done
was
with the second
outfitted
shot.
with
Back here.
with gun scabbards and machine gun mounts to be ready to fight. It was like Mad Max.
Going with the
Manson would
9-9,
get
I
them
think.
together, and they were riding around in their dune buggies, firing off guns, getting ready for the race. And that was
Lovely shot.
Pay attention, folks. That's how you play golf.
In the desert, he said, if they ever capture me again,
6 feet remaining to the cup.
I'm just gonna be crazy old Charlie that all of you took care of.
So if you play sort of the dumb old Charlie, I've got mental health issues, to have the girl sort of spin that.
Yeah, nice looking putt. Oh, what a round this is. 7 birdies today. And
Much
maintain
better.
top spot on the leaderboard. After that,
What we had. We felt we were working with a bunch
here
of
we are in the
people.
final hole on the front
You know,
nine.
they were not-
Casal has a candle in one hand, the light is fading. He's got his .357 Magnum in another hand, and he walks into the house. It's terrifying.
Below the sink was a small cupboard, and hair was hanging out
Looks to be going with a
over
hybrid
the
here.
top of the cupboard door. Fingers began moving
Thanks.
in the hair. The door opened. And his fingers
Bad shot that.
began
Average.
Chance.
coming out.
Slim chance for birdie, but in all reality, 2 putt for par would be just fine.
And I'll never forget the first thing he said.
This effort by
was,
Justin
"Hi."
Thomas.
And I said, "Who are you?" And he identified himself as Charles Manson. We dumped 26 people.
Left yourself an
in
opportunity.
jail. Craig Waco, Atkins,
And back to the course with the
Squeaky.
live action.
they were all in the
Well,
first.
this would be a bonus.
Charlie
This is
is
a
originally
very long putt.
charged in Death Valley again with car theft. It's only after Susan Atkins, one of Charlie's followers who was involved in the various murders, is transferred back to LA, that she tries to impress some fellow inmates that things start to get put together.
It's like
Get in! Get in there! Oh, yeah! Gorgeous!
And it's time to recap.
Sexy!
And how
Oh.
they really
Look at this.
And I do recall saying to her, well, what are you talking about? And her answer to me was, when the movie was
Oh, yes. Pick that. Pick it out.
It's a lofty position this player has held all tournament, but what a buffer they've built with just 9 to play.
Could be some trying times indeed. Tough holes lay ahead, but yes, you're in the position that you want to be,
Charlie
ahead of the pack.
knew his time was up.
The men and women suspected of killing actor Sharon Tate and 4 others were members of a weird, sadistic hippie cult. And by writing the words pig at the scene of the crime, apparently the hippies were trying to throw the police off the track by blaming the murders on the Black Panthers of which the hippies hated.
Oh, good drive. That one's
Manson and his
fun.
followers have been arrested, finally, for the Tate LaBianca murders. And what lay ahead was a murder trial. And a circle
Let's take a look
that
at
would
Justin
both
Thomas from
fascinate and
earlier.
appall everyone who watched.
Always lovely to see a long range bomb made. Let's recap. Wonderful effort. Let's return to live play now.
Manson's efforts
Coming off a
to
string of
portray
4
himself as
birdies.
a lone fighter against an unfair establishment are not working.
The Tate LaBianca murder trial may be the most widely
That's a pretty handy shot.
documented of its time.
Susan Atkins, Patricia Bullwinkle, Leslie and Charlie.
Well, there's some sort of streak going on here. Greens and regulation. What a statistic.
Dare I say, Luke, this player is in Fuego, which is approach shots, another green in regulation.
The trial started in
It's on a good line.
1970,
And that's the birdie.
Every
Will
day
hold.
of the trial, spontaneous random acts of
Now that
insanity
finds him in
are
first
made
place.
by the 3 women defendants.
Manson would come in, suspicious or charming, demonic or
Let's see what happens here at the 11th hole.
amiable, even more shocking than the sight of a treason. In these colorful dresses, sometimes they'd be singing. The contrast between the savagery of the crime and the kind of
played this one about 130 yards.
Every day with me, and he'd decide, well, today I want you each to stand up and hold your hands and say a stupid symbol.
Choosing the
We're gonna get up
9-iron
and
here.
scream, no gray marriage. We're
Oh,
gonna get
this
up
is
and
on
run
a
X amount
fantastic
of
line. Is it the right distance?
And that day we proceeded through. As he said, and most of the time,
That's a great
we
shot.
went
And a
upstairs
birdie opportunity coming up here at the 11th.
and we just sit upstairs.
Outside the
This putt
courtroom, the
is about
Manson
10 feet from the
girls
hole.
had not
Good
gone
stuff
along
today,
with it,
especially
but
the
were
short game
dedicated
has
to
been
him.
really
Were camped
sharp today.
outside the courthouse. They lived
Jeez.
there. They slept there. They were available for interviews at all times. It was a scene outside that
Get in!
was
Ah! Bastard!
And this putt coming up for his par.
The astonishing thing is, these are people with absolute loyalty to Charles Manson, even though Manson's been in custody for months.
Down it
And yet
goes.
their worshipful fidelity, their absolute loyalty is unshaken.
Managing to maintain their position on the leaderboard after that effort.
was uncontrollable. At one point, he leaped across
Let's see what
the
happens here at the
council
12th.
chamber with a pencil in his hand, screaming, "Someone should cut your head off, old man."
And the bailiff tackled him in midair as he was heading towards the judge. What we heard was that after that incident, that the judge started carrying a revolver.
I noted, for example, the coverage of the Charles Manson. Richard Nixon was one of the best helpers Charles Manson had.
No harm, no foul there with that
They
shot.
law enforcement seminar, and they asked him about it, and he decided to say that Charlie was guilty.
Here was a man who was guilty, directly or indirectly, of 8 murders without reason.
That became a huge
choice of the
story,
driver here.
huge headline.
One of the defense attorneys slipped Manson a newspaper. All of a sudden, in the courtroom, Manson picks up the LA Times newspaper that says Manson guilty, Nixon declared.
Nicely
Shot.
done.
Showed it to the jury.
Manson thought at
Let's
that
have a look at
point
his
he was
highlight.
in this trial. But the judge was
Lining up for his third now.
How would the prosecution tie Manson under these crimes that had been physically committed?
Ah, the kids. That's fine work there.
Vincent Bugliosi is the deputy.
Okay, let's get back to the action.
Prosecutes Manson.
19 feet to the hole.
Originally, the Los Angeles prosecutor's office plan was to present this as a robbery gone wrong, where the victims died, and that made it murder. Bugliosi thought it was something beyond that, and he was the
Come
one
on!
who said we need to use helter-skelter.
What does helter
What an opportunity to make a birdie.
Well, where does it come from? To Charles Manson helter skelter.
Yeah, well hold. Let's move on to the next.
White establishment and murdering the entire white race. That is with the exception
And this is quality play, still on top of the leaderboard.
desert and live in the bottomless pit, the place that he got from Revelation 9.
Teeing off here on the 13th hole.
Is the one who saw that Manson's fascination with the Beatles' White Album could be part of this. He's the one that in his questioning of the Manson family members got them to talk about Manson stating that the race war is coming, we know because the Beatles have told us. In the song Piggy, in the song Blackbird, most of all in the song
Get up there.
Shelter.
Oh yeah.
And the
Ooh.
strategy was to take those
bad, not bad.
Well played.
This one here, this is for back-to-back birdies, moving him in the right direction.
Of this apocalyptic race.
I told the jury that when the words helter skelter were found printed in blood at the murder scene, this was tantamount to Manson's fingerprints being found.
This one has eyes for the hole.
When Bugliosi
Oh, what?
That would have been a nice one to hold.
was able to
Oh.
And with that, you can go and put a par on the card.
told that Manson had
And after this hole, that's how it looks.
Manson
Sits in first position.
Beatles are telling them the race war is coming. Is it such a huge
Well, who doesn't
step
love a
that
short par
Manson
four? Is it time to be
became
aggressive
it was
or
their
lay back?
idea to go out and
Standing in
do
this par 4 and
that
leading.
was, I
What's
think,
the strategy? What's going on in their mind? Attack it or lay back?
Oh, I'm attacking that.
Today in court, the prosecution's key witness, Linda Kasabian, continued to testify.
Linda Kasabian had been the driver on both. the
Get
night
up
of
there.
August and the night of August
Get
7th.
up there.
We granted Linda Kasabian
Ah, terrible banks.
started witness. She was an actress. She was interested.
Second shot here,
She
on the 14.
suffered, but she didn't physically kill anyone.
And had he not had her, Well, yes, he might have lost the case.
This one's for
There's no one
Bernie.
else that can give an eyewitness account. She said that she was outside on the lawn. For Cal, she was referring to. She said a man came toward me and he was...
Oh, bullocks! What the fuck?
This one.
Oh God, make this...
Bastard!
So with another hole behind us, let's take a look at the
Fucking
lead.
shitty par.
One of the attorneys is wrong.
And this effort by Justin Thomas.
You started to
John, have you got a read on this one?
and how and tried to split her off
37
from,
feet at
from the
least.
others.
Coming
Nancy
here,
didn't do
guys.
anything about the women. She wanted all the defense attorneys to represent too.
That's a good putt to make. We'll take that. And that will take him to 4 under.
And the attorneys realized that their clients
Let's take a look
were
at the
doing what
leaderboard.
Manson told them to do, as opposed to what was in their best interest.
For one of the women to have a lawyer who say, you don't have to be part of this.
You've arrived at a par 4.
Nancy pointed across the council table, and Ronald Hughes sat right beside me, so I saw this. Nancy pointed at him and glared at him and said, "Attorney, I don't want to ever see you in this courtroom again." And we never saw him again. And his body was found 6 months later, but it was so badly decomposed that we could never tell the cause of death.
It was found under a rock, whether fallen on him or pushed on him or whatever.
There's been action all day on this golf course. But what about this shot, the 17th?
A former member of Manson's family.
This is his third.
Wanting to remain anonymous and said that Hughes was murdered by Manson.
Others say the death of Ronald Hughes was just a tragic accident.
That's a lovely effort by Kevin Kisner.
Hughes,
Let's get back to it, shall we?
I think the district attorney killed him. Because he was the only lawyer we had who was worth anything. He was the only one that was doing anything for us.
And choosing the 8 guy.
The jurors
Well,
were
shot
up
that.
for 9
Actually
days.
on the surface.
Prosecuting attorney would know. As the jury came in, before the
Well,
verdict was
take
done,
notes, folks. That's
you
how
could
you
see
do it.
the hands of the big, scary Charles Manson shaking like a leaf.
The jury
This
today
putt to
found
about
all
11
four
feet in
defendants
distance.
guilty of first-degree murder and conspiracy in the deaths a year and a half ago of Sharon Tate, the actress, and 4 other persons at her home, and the killing of 2 other persons 2 nights later.
They are ultimately convicted of all of the murder charges and are sentenced to death.
The green room.
It's up. It could be in. Well, you're going to be hard to catch now if you keep making putts like that.
That is some pretty good breathing room. Out in front by a bunch.
Still in the lead now after that hole. And I don't know if the rest of the field is up for catching them here today in this final round of action.
Public's interest and fascination.
Let's see what happens here in the 16th.
In 1969. Their lurid claim on our consciousness.
People see the urban legend. They don't want to see the faces behind the
It's like they've got
ugliness.
the
And it
5-wood.
continues to shock the conscience, both because of the brutality of the murders and because of this eerie cult-like control that Manson had over his followers. There's no end to it, so
Now that looked pretty good the whole way.
Slim chance here for birdie, but you never know.
The fascination lingers in part because he had.
Oh, yes, that looks
And
good.
his family members were sentenced to death, and the death penalty has been overturned in the state of California by the Supreme Court.
Get in there.
Prosecutor Vincent Bulley.
Get in there! Oh,
And another one goes. And with it,
woo!
he's in his lead.
What a beauty.
Back birdie's moving the right direction there, Luke.
Was eerily
And it's worth taking another look at that one.
It's always a kind of show business trope when it leaves us with these luminous images that never fade.
She just seemed eager, she seemed wholesome.
Those who laid eyes upon Sharon Tate for the first time
Oh,
seemed to stop whatever
lovely.
it was they could do.
Currently in
Lovely.
first position.
2 holes to go, Luke. I know who I like.
Now she also is dead.
Charles Manson follower Susan Atkins has died. She suffered from
Teeing
brain
off
cancer.
here on the 17th hole.
Die in prison in 2009. Others of Manson's ex-followers, their lives destroyed by Manson, their identities reclaimed during their prison time, continue to serve life sentences. Tex Watson's fathered 4 kids while in prison.
Tex Watson remains in prison and will for the rest of his life.
Approved for release by a state board, Leslie Van Houten's bid for parole was denied by California Governor Jerry Brown.
This
Leslie Van Houten
the
denied
cuts.
parole again, the youngest Charles Manson cult follower back in 1969. She was 19
now 66.
And this shot here coming up from around 130
Longest
yards.
incarcerated female inmate.
What did they do with Charlie Walton? That was the whole thing.
You have to know every part of it. And to know you know it is to know it.
And Squeaky Fromm
Should
tried
find
to
the
kill
green
the president.
She was the woman in red who pulled a gun on President Gerald Ford. Fromm served 34
He's
years
been
in prison.
putting on a clinic all day.
Released in
Another beauty by our
2009.
leader.
As for
Well, the
Manson,
practice
the
is
messages
paying
of
off
his
here,
charisma
Luke.
still exert
This
a kind of
player is
gravitational pull
relentless.
on some out there adherents,
Spot
but
coming
the
up.
ravages
Who's the
of
bird?
age and incarceration seem to have left him a diminished and spectral figure who awaits his inevitable end.
Evil is very difficult to kill.
Starts off with a good
I'm sure
line.
someday
Yes!
And that will drop in for birdie.
we all
Memories of Manson's savagery are forever lived.
So no change on the leaderboard for this player after that hole. And I don't give the rest of the field much hope today. Our leader is way out in front in this final round. And now this player tees off their final hole of the event with the lead. Wow, that was just straight. Well, you can see why he's leading. That was a shot of high calibre. As they drive for show putt for Dover, that was plenty of show
in a
there.
northern suburb of London, England. Since February, 37-year-old Molly Young had suffered vomiting, diarrhea,
Get up
and
there!
excruciating stomach pain, which she
Yes, you choked.
Well, that's a tremendous shot that sets up a wonderful opportunity.
Two big hits there, knocking in on this par 5 and 2.
With similar
Eagle,
stomach
come on.
cramps,
This
debilitating him
for the
for
tournament.
days at a time. Then Fred's eldest daughter, Winifred, 22, was violently ill on a couple of occasions that summer. Shortly afterward, her brother Graham Young was violently sick at home. It even seemed as if mystery
that was a
politics
gallant
was
attempt.
beyond their household. A couple
And
of
this
Graham's
putt is
school
astonishing
friends had
score
also
of
been
58.
ill a couple of times.
And that, ladies and
with
gentlemen, is a
serious
fine
injuries.
performance. He's done
In
it.
November
He's won the tournament.
1961, the
Backing up the bridge truck once again this
Winifred
week.
Young was served a cup of
Filling
tea
it up.
by her brother one morning, but found its taste so sour she took only one mouthful before she threw it away. While on the train to work an hour later, she began to
Get in
hallucinate
there.
how to be helped out
Well,
of the
Rich,
station,
after that hot
and
start,
eventually
it's probably
taken
little
to the
surprise that this player
hospital,
powered
doctors
through
came
to
the
victory.
conclusion
Look,
that she had somehow
That
been
was
infected with
the
rare
performance
poison
of a lifetime.
belladonna.
Hats off.
She told her
They
father
dominated
Fred, who developed the
every
theory.
facet of the
His
game.
14-year-old
Never
son Graham
let the
had been
foot
crazy
up off
about
the
chemistry
gas.
for some years, and had even
Well,
been
that'll
banned
just
from
about
using
do it. On
chemicals in
behalf
the
of
house
Rich B,
after
I'm Will
aborted
Gilby.
experiments
Thanks for
set
tuning in.
fire to
Look forward to
furniture
your
in his
company
room.
next time.
Could the boy have inadvertently contaminated his family's food? He confronted his son, but Graham blamed Winifred, who he claimed had been using the family's teacups to mix shampoo. Unconvinced, Fred searched Graham's room but found nothing incriminating. Nevertheless, he warned his son to be more careful in the future when, quote, messing around with those bloody chemicals. The family had been concerned about Graham for a while. He was just different, utterly unlike other boys his age. Since the age of 9 or 10, when he started stealing his stepmother Molly's perfume and nail varnish remover to analyze its contents and